Well, hello Internet! One of you guys asked me to do a tutorial on how to make bread that rises guaranteed every single time. So this time I'm going to show you how to combine water, yeast, flour, and salt and do just that. Now I'm going to start off by adding 1.5 cups of lukewarm water to a bowl, and I don't technically have to proof the yeast, but I always do it, so I'm going to do it this time. Then I'm going to get myself 1 tablespoon of instant yeast, add that to the bowl as well, and then 1/2 teaspoon of regular old sugar. Now I'm going to add what I consider an insurance policy, which is vital wheat gluten. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of vital wheat gluten, and this is going to be used to strengthen the gluten strands that may be cut by the bran in the whole wheat flour we're going to use. And then I'm going to whisk this all together and let it sit for about 10 minutes. And now everything should be bubbling, which is going to prove that the yeast is still active. Now I'm going to add 1¼ cups of regular old all-purpose white flour, and then to that I'm going to add 2 cups of whole wheat flour. For the most part, this is a whole wheat flour recipe. Now, in essence, what's going on here is the yeast is going to feed on both the sugar as well as the starches, and then it's going to release CO2, which is going to create the bubbles in the air. Then I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Make sure you add the salt for flavor, and then I'm going to start mixing everything up. Now, whenever you mix the flour with the water, a protein called gluten is going to be formed, and whenever it's hydrated, these proteins are going to start to stick together and create a web structure. Around this time, I'm going to add in an additional 1/4 cup of water, and the reason I'm doing that is because while white flour is going to require about 60% of the flour's weight in water, whole grain bread is going to require somewhere between 90 to 120%. But don't worry about the percentages, just follow the instructions I have here in this video. So as you can see here, we are hydrating the flour, which is going to create proteins that are going to stick together to create a web structure. And as more of these bonds are formed, the air is going to be introduced through kneading, as you can see right here. And then the dough is going to be filled with pockets of air. And then whenever it's baked, the gluten's going to harden and you're going to get the holes in your bread. And there you go. Everything's real nice and neat. And yes, the dough should be sticky still. And now we're going to go and get ourselves a damp, hot cloth, and we're going to place that over top of this. And what this is going to do is keep the crust soft so that the gas in the bread can continue to rise. And then after about an hour, you're going to have dough that looks like that. And now I'm going to sprinkle some whole wheat flour down where I'm going to be kneading everything. I'm going to flop that out, and this is the kneading process. Put some flour on your hands to avoid sticking because the dough is still sticking, and this is all you do. You just do this over and over again. Around this time, you can decide then if you want to add something. I decided to add 1/4 cup of quick oats, and I'm just going to spread a little bit on and then knead the quick oats in. You definitely don't need the quick oats though. So as you're watching me knead this dough, you may ask yourself, well, why exactly does whole wheat bread harder to make than regular old white bread? Well, basically, wheat germ and bran, because of their weight, is going to impede the bread's ability to rise, which can make for a dense piece of bread, which is the problem most people have. Also, the bran's going to cut into the gluten strands, which is going to damage the structure, and that's the reason why we added in the vital wheat gluten. It's going to help strengthen the structure. But either way, after about 1.5 minutes of kneading, that's how long it took to knead this, everything is looking really nice, and I'm going to go and spray a little bit of nonstick spray on here and flop my dough on there and let that rise for about an hour, and you can see everything's rising perfectly. And I have the oven set at 450 degrees. I put a cast iron skillet in there during the preheating process, and then I'm going to add in right around 1 cup of water to the cast iron pan to keep everything steamed and nice and soft. Please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time,